risky behavior.
Yo, what's up? What's up? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Welcome back to Risky Behavior. This video that I'm about to do another is a part of a series I'm going to be doing called Beware the Messenger. This video here is going to be a brother by the it's going to be on a person by the name of Brother Polight, aka Michael Nowak Jr. Okay. Um, first off, I want to say welcome to Risky Behavior. Here on my channel, I like to focus on human behavior, the things that people say, the things that people do. Um, but I do want to say this: I want to stay away from calling people good or bad, mainly because it's very subjective words. What one person might see as good, another person might see it as bad, and vice versa. Instead, I think you will find this world operates off of order and chaos. And the things we say, the things we do, the choices we make can either create order in our life or chaos in this life. And like to start off that way is because I want people to know that even though I'm pointing out things that we may see and hear that we disagree with, I try to stay away from condemning people, no matter what evil act it may be that they are doing. I like to that's just how I like to approach things. Um now I'm going to start this video off by playing a classic debate between the brother Polight and Tommy Sotomayor that they had called The Black Woman on Trial. Now, Brother Polight is one of those guys in the conscious community that he preaches a lot about how the black woman is God. I'm not going to explain too much on that because I'm going to be playing the video. The brother Tommy Sotomayor is one of those guys that people would say that he's a guy that bashes black women, but I mean, really, he the debate title actually is what Tommy does. He puts black women on trial. Now, in the beginning of this video, you're going to see them give their opening statements. But before I play the video, I do want to give my opening statement. I'm not going to be too long-winded on this one. But it's important that I give it to add context as to the reason why I'm even making this video. And so clicked on the wrong thing. So anyway, so this video is about beware the messenger. Now, the phrase "don't shoot the messenger" is often used to encourage people to separate the content of a message from the person delivering it. I'm pretty sure you've heard this before. It's kind of like people who justify, well, hey, I still listen to R. Kelly's music because I can separate the artist from the person who is currently serving time in prison. Now, while this concept can be fair in some cases, it becomes problematic when those in positions of influence or leadership use it to avoid accountability or scrutiny. When someone is speaking on behalf of a community, especially about matters involving justice, compensation, or financial redress, it's not enough to only consider the message. We must also evaluate the character and intentions of the messenger. This is especially true when the person has a direct influence on public perception or policy discussions. It's dangerous to blindly accept the words of individuals in power simply because they frame themselves as just the messenger, particularly if their history or behavior raises legitimate concerns about trust and credibility. And one thing I want to add to that is it's almost kind of like I know some people agree with Charleston White. I particularly don't like him because of his behavior, but people do the same thing with him, just using him as an example. They say, well, he says all these truths. And yeah, he says a lot of things that are truths, but you can't ignore the behavior, the foul things that comes out of his mouth because he throws truth in there to cover it up. So, anywho, without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this video. And these are their opening statements to this debate.
For my audience on this platform, because this is the first time he's come on IamBrotherPolight.com platform, what we need to do, we just want to have some opening arguments. And after that, Tommy and I are just going to drill each other, pause, with questions pertaining to this Black woman. I'm open to his questions. He's open to my questions. So right now, I ask you, Brother Tommy, give me an opening argument about the Black woman and why you're so hard on them. Just tell us, because I got my reason for why I'm showing them so much embrace, and I'm going to do that in like 3 minutes. Give us 3 minutes to let us know, 3 to 5 minutes. Let us know why you get down the way you get down when it comes to this Black woman. That's what we need to know.
All right. Well, for those who don't know, I'm Tommy Sotomayor. I've been around these streets for a minute. Look, here's where you can find me. Number one, SotomayorTV.com. You can also follow me at TJ Sotomayor on Twitter. Just look up Tommy Sotomayor. All my stuff will come up, including my criminal record. But after that, there's a reason why I speak the way I speak. And I speak the way I speak because of this. I've watched Black women for 41 years of my life. I know I look older than that, but I'm 41. And in my 41 years, no one held Black women in a higher regard than me, probably when I was 19 to 20. I thought Black women could do no wrong. The reason why I thought Black women could do no wrong, well, was because I was being raised by one who told me she could do no wrong. There was nothing she could do wrong or any of the other women do wrong. As a matter of fact, my mom, the only person I'd ever seen in her life or in my life that ever checked her or put her in check, guess who that was? My grandmother. Other than that, my mother was always correct. Yet as I got older, I noticed that a lot of the decisions that she made in her life that affected me negatively as a child, she never stood up and said 2 words, which I noticed escaped the majority of Black women. I'm sorry. Seeing that an individual who is a totalitarian, a dictator in their household, well, they never have to say they're sorry. As a young Black man, I regretted and hated growing up to be one thing, man, because all I saw, in my opinion, or from what I had gathered from what my mom told me, was that men were liars, men let women down, men impregnate women and walk out. So why would I want to grow up to be that? And then all of a sudden I started realizing, after being able to think for myself, the first shackle I got off was the shackle of Christianity. That was something that my Black mother and the Black women of my family and community forced upon their Black children. They didn't force college. They didn't force family. They didn't force parenting. They didn't force finances, but they did force religion. You could do anything in the world, but you couldn't disrespect white Jesus. Strange. So I shook that shackle. And after shaking that shackle, I started to question. I said, well, if I can question my God, my Savior, the person who controls my soul, then why can't I question the person who told me that that was my God, my Savior, and the person who controls my soul? So in the process of doing that, I then started questioning some of the things that my mother did, some of the decisions she made. And as I questioned them, I started realizing I'm amazingly attracted to Black women. I have an affinity for Black women. Most people only see me with black women, walking around with black women. Whether you hate me or love me, you see me knee deep in black women. So you'd have to ask, why do I give a crap? Well, that would be the answer. And why am I so hard? It's the same reason I'm hard on my daughter that I am the neighbor's kid. They don't know the neighbor's kid, and I don't care if the neighbor's kid grow up to be a junkie or flunky. But my daughter, even though the neighbor's kid isn't doing any chores, mine is. Even though the neighbor's kid doesn't get punished for bringing home B's and C's, mine does. Even though the neighbor's kid may get to stay up late, eat chocolate all day and night, mine doesn't. Because mine has rules, because I expect more from her, because I love her more than a neighbor's kid. So why am I so hard on black women? Because I don't see myself raising white children. My girls are black girls who will grow up to be black women. I noticed the faults in this one group, and yet everyone else was afraid to speak to black women. When I went to jail, I noticed that when I spoke to most of the guys in jail, they all had one central through line problem: black women. You go to the barbershop, you go anywhere, black men seem to lament, look it up, nigga, about black women. So in the process, I have no idea why it would be a problem for me to do the same thing when there's nothing new that I'm saying that no comedian, game show, talk show, comedy show, sketch show has said in the past. The difference is I don't have a laugh track behind me. I'm dead serious.
Okay.
It's very interesting how a person passed and how they perceived it can shape them in their future. I also want to mention because I want to be fair is that when it comes to beware the messenger, Tommy Sotomayor can also fall under that umbrella, because one thing for me, I think is very important for a leader, a person to lead by example. And so many would point out is that, yeah, you can say a lot of truths about the community, the black community, the black women, the black man, and what you see is wrong, and say that I care, right? But there comes a point in time where people say, like, hey, you got to lead by example. You got to put your money where your mouth is. And so when you are this black man that is saying these things about what's wrong with the community, well, one thing that's wrong, and he said out of his own mouth, and I'm speaking about Tommy Sotomayor, the brother that just spoke, is that he says that the black family is broken, right? Well, he has 2 children by 2 different women. He's a successful guy. There's no reason why he should not be married. You have to create the change that you want to see. For the most part, you will always come off as a hypocrite if you do not do that. You're just someone going around saying what everybody else should be doing whilst you're not doing it.
Let's get together. Black women. Oh, how I love you so. I cannot share the same sentiments as my brother, Tommy Sotomayor. Though, I can say this.
I want you to hold on what he said. He said, I cannot share the same sentiments. But we're going to show you how words and actions differ very much, and how one can pretend they don't share the sentiments, but their actions say very differently.
I never knew my mother. She died the week I met her when I turned 17. I had mixed feelings when I met my mother, because when I met her, she was suffering from cancer and diabetes. I oftentimes attempted to reconcile within myself, did I do the right thing by not chastising her when I first met her. And the reason being was because I said to myself, I have to be there for someone, even though they wasn't there for me. So it was very difficult, the 7 days that I had with my mother, because I really couldn't determine when was the right time to talk to her. And I didn't know I had 7 days with her. That I didn't know. I never knew I had 7 days with her. I thought I had X amount of time, so I procrastinated when it came to revealing or giving her some of my reservations, letting her know what some of my reservations was. In time, when she died, I began to hate her. I never hated her my whole life. I began to hate her when she died. I felt like she left me again for the second time. I blamed her for her own death, only to find out through my father's mother, my grandmother, who I called moms because she raised me more than anyone else until she wound up with Alzheimer's, wound up in a nursing home, and then I wound up homeless and still going to school, taking myself there. Because my father left by that time at age 8. Prior to that, my father took care of my sister and I. Raised a bunch of other children called Michael, 6 in number. That's another story. So what daddy did, still love him the same. Yes, I have several brothers. So now what happens is I say to myself later on, my anger was partially in part misappropriated due to misinformation. Because after all, this woman did bring me into this world and she's due that much because I'm here. And every day that I appreciate my existence, by default, I have to appreciate the womb from which I derived. No matter the circumstances I was created, no matter the neighborhood I had to be raised in, if there's any time I should appreciate life, my mother is due that respect for bringing me here. Here's the irony, though. Here it is. I thought my moms did all these wicked things until my mother, who had the tightest relationship amongst her children, all of her children, with my father. My father, according to his mother, who I have no reason to feel she was biased because she loved him so. I don't want to say she loved him the most, but it seemed like it to me. With a brother of his, her son, that had a very high ranking in law enforcement, who passed away last year. With a daughter of hers, which is his sister, my father, that is. My aunt, who also passed away because of cancer. She worked for dialysis. She worked in the dialysis field, Mount Sinai Hospital, I believe, in New York. But my father, he dropped out of school. He was playing ball. He was looking good. He dropped out to take care of me. It was said that I could never be born. After they had Michelle, I'm Michael. After they had Michelle, the doctor said, she can't have no more children. That's what they said. They said she cannot have any more children. That's what they said to my mother. Sure enough, she wound up conceiving.
I think that I've heard him tell this story other times. I think this is a tactic, tell a heart-warm story. And I think this is how he pulls you in. He presents his love for the black woman in a way as to which he describes a mother that this is what his story suggests is a mother that was not there, that may have not deserved his love, but he gave it anyway. And he says it in a way as, he gave her this ultimate, just this forgiveness and understanding. And he does it. And I think many people hearing it, it would pull them in, you know. And I think it's just a tactic, honestly. Not saying he's lying about the story, but just merely saying why he might say it. I think there's a ulterior motive behind him when he says this story.
They then told her, you can die if you have this child. My father, according to my grandmother, who I identified as mom's, said that my father was hell-bent on getting me aborted along with the rest of my mother's side of the family. However, my mother still chose to have me. And though my father can be violent at times and abuse my mom, as the narrative goes, in all defense to my pops, many people believe that he intimidated her into having me when it was absolutely contradictory, because according to my father's mother, my grandmother, who I identified as mom's, she said he was just as persistent with having me aborted as the members of her family who were concerned about her health. But my mama would run away and she would have me and I would be born. She risked her life. She survived the birth and gave me to my father. I don't know who the hell to be mad at this particular point. I'm in a conundrum at this particular point because it has so many ups and downs, so many ebbs and flows. But what I did have to do over time is say this. This woman who never raised me saw me through to get here. During racist times still, there was still some oppression taking place in the community was going in because the Jews and blacks were having hell in New York. We wasn't too far from Eastern Parkway. Okay, for those of you that's in New York City, you understand the Jews run Eastern Parkway, that whole section down there. And our community in that particular area, when I was born, was still integrated and gentrification was just passing by so they can really take over Eastern Parkway. So they was in the neighborhood that my grandmother worked so hard as a black woman to own a house, which was very difficult task, as she worked for a company named NYNEX for damn near 40 years. I think they turned into AT&T later on, but there was a phone company called NYNEX at that time. And that's how my grandmother earned the right to get that house that she let all her children live in until they became successful and left her with the exception of my father. And so I would not be here, not just by the convention of birth that we accredit to both the father and the mother. I don't want no one to mistake me, but we're talking about women tonight. So forgive me if it sounds like I'm one-sided tonight because the focal point is on women. I do know it takes a man to participate in the birth of a woman. Let me say that because some of you will insist on suggesting that on my behalf. So let me let you know I'm full aware I participated in the birth of my child as well. And the conception. But for now, the focus is the black woman. And what I must say, this is a woman who I wind up hating after only having 7 days with her before she died. 7 days with her for as much as I can recollect. When she died, I conceived that she left me a second time and I hated her, only to find out that when it came time to risk her life to give birth to her next child, she ran away from the oppressive forces of both sides of the family who were committed to terminating her child, only to have me, despite the pressures and the stress incurred, not from just one family, but from two families. Still, she had me and then turned me over to my father when the family of hers that wanted me terminated then said, let's keep him away from the father. She went against her own family, her own mother, and turned me over to my father after all the legal games and all the chaos had already commenced, and she went on to run away again. This much I know from both sides of the family. So I'm just giving you, because you talked about your mother, so I wanted to bring my mother here so we can let people see the dichotomy, so they can see how diametrically opposed we may be in view. So you struck a chord in me talking about your mother, and I wanted to strike a chord in you talking about mine. So we are probably very interesting to the world because our stories, as it relates to our mothers particularly, is so very unique.
Well, isn't it strange though, if you think about it? Your mother left, you love Black women. My mother stayed, I love Black women. The way that we approach it is completely different.
Mhm.
I do not believe you can spare the rod and raise a child that is correct. And as far as this goes, my view of women is less than mentally. I had a woman on the show today, a young woman, and she came on the show, beautiful young woman, was telling the world how much she loved me and how my videos changed her life. But she's 20. And you know, you and I grew up and people always said, women mature faster than men. You remember hearing that?
I heard that.
Well, it's completely false, because if you talk to a 20-year-old female versus a 20-year-old male, you will realize how childish the 20-year-old female sounds versus the 20-year-old male. Why? Because the 20-year-old male has already been faced with a lifetime of obstacles to get over. He's been told he's not good enough to play football, not good enough to play basketball, not handsome enough to date, not popular enough to date. He's been told no, no, no. He's been told if he was raised in a correct family by his father, you must go cut the grass. You must take out the trash. You have chores. That female, however, realized probably before puberty, but especially after, according to how she filled out, that what she says matters less than what she looks like. So she's been able to get away from a young age with daddy by just being sweet and nice and laying up under daddy, and daddy don't want to punish his sweet little girl. How do I know? Because I have a little girl who gets away with a lot of stuff because all she does is look sad in the face. But my little boy look sad in the face. Boy, get that look off your face, boy. You a man. He can't even fall down without me saying, get up, be a man, dust it off. Little girl fall down, we all run over and pick her up. So by the time they turn 20, their views of life is completely different, because the little boy has become hard knock life. He Jay-Z now. He know things are difficult. He know he can't get a date in college without getting a couple of jobs so he can get some money to compete with the dope boy. But the woman don't even have to get a job at 20. She got these look good. She can date the dope boy or the boy with 2 jobs. She got a choice. So her mentality is not the same. And yet we're still told that lie that females believe or grow and mature quicker than boys. It's completely untrue. The reason I address that is because a lot of things we've been fed in the Black community are just repeated, and they're repeated lies. They're things that are untrue, but we repeat them because of history, because of heritage, because of culture, because we're told. And the biggest propagators of lies are the females, because males are judged upon what they do, not what they say. So you can be a man and say that you got money, but if we don't see it, we won't believe it. But you can be a woman and paint another woman's face on your face. Get on Instagram, filter the hell out of yourself. And if anybody questions it, they're wrong. A woman can ask a man how old he is and say, you too old or young to date. But a man asks a woman, how old are you? And they say, you don't ask a woman that.
Before he goes on too much, I do want to say this. I do not agree with what he just said as far as the maturing, like who matures faster, men or women, boys or girls. I think they mature kind of around the same rate. I think it just depends on what you're looking at, right? Because of the social dynamics or the social stigma, young girls may seem to mature more because of things they are not allowed to do, and young boys may be seen to mature more because of things they may be forced to do. So yes, young boys are maybe pushed out and say, hey man, you gotta go get a job, you gotta pay your way, because that's just the way we raise young men. A man is expected to take care of a woman. Women are not expected to take care of a man. So you may look at young boys and say, well, they're more mature if you're looking at it as far as, okay, they gotta go get a job, they got, you like he said, responsible father teaching his son how to cut the grass. However, we can't skip over the fact that also as a young boy, people tend to allow them a little bit more freedom when it comes to other things, like, hey, you can run around and have sex with all these women, sow your world your oats, right? These are things that, hey, boys will be boys, go out, be wild, run around. And so in that aspect, a lot of people could look at that and say, well, hey, boys are kind of immature. Look how long they may be taking to settle down, versus a young lady. You can't really judge them on the same playing field, because a man is supposed, according to our society, take care of a woman. So you can't take that same thing and then compare it to a woman, saying, well, though that 20-year-old girl doesn't have to work. Yeah, but that 20-year-old girl is not told she can go around and just sleep with whoever she wants and sow her royal oats, right? Because what are they going to call her? They're going to call her a 304. They're going to say she's fast, she's loose, right? They're going to talk about her. And so in that sense, when you look at a young lady, being that in society we demonize women that do that, for the young girls that are not doing that, they're going to look at him and say, oh, okay, she's mature. Look at her. Look how well she acts. She's so ladylike. She's she's not ripping around, running away. So I think they mature at the same rate, but just in different areas, but they're on the same level. But if you put them together, they would balance each other out.
A woman can ask you, how big is your penis? And if you don't answer, she'll say, you must have a small one. A woman can ask you if you ever slept with a dude. And if you ain't answer, that means you must be a faggot. But if you ask a woman how much she weighs, she'll tell you that's a personal question. Last time I checked, I ain't never been able to Google a woman's weight and a picture of her show up. But if I give you my phone number, that's way more personal than my weight. If I give you my name, that's way more personal than my weight. What I'm telling you is that women are irrational. And women are irresponsible.
Whoa.
And when you deal, oh yes. Let me tell you why I say that. Let me tell you why women are irresponsible. Because the ghetto.
Can we call these generalizations, or you?
Yes, they are generalizations. Yes, sir. Okay. I'm raising two girls, but in general, women are irresponsible. And I just gave you reasons why. Because they have someone. Because someone will pick up for them. Meaning, a woman doesn't have to be strong. If she can't open a door, some idiot's gonna come open it for her.
What?
A woman does.
Well, why do you have to be idiot though?
I'm just saying, because what if that woman's strong enough and he go over there and pull and his back muscle out just to open that door for that woman?
No, what are you talking about?
Listen, hold on, wait.
Hold on. I'm texting to get the links out, but I'm thinking I'm missing something. I might have missed something. Just reverse a little bit about the idiot who might blow his back out.
No, she's wondering why I call him an idiot. I'm saying because he doesn't know this woman. It's like a young boy in Chicago. Some dude starts shooting. The young boy threw himself in front of the women, the girls. He's 15. They shot him and killed him. He's hailed a hero. Well, what if them girls grow up to be whores and he was going to be an engineer? The engineer's dead, but the whore's still alive. But we're praising him for doing this because they were females. No other reason. They had no redeeming qualities other than being female. That was enough to say this man should have given up his life. By that logic, we should be able to say white versus black. A black person should go save a white person just because that person's white. You say that doesn't make any sense. There has to be redeeming qualities to make this life worth saving other than it is a female.
Yeah, but you don't have time in the moment to stop and check and see if there are redeeming qualities in a moment like that. You just don't. I get what he's saying, but it doesn't make sense. And you also don't have a time machine to go into the future to see if these women are going to grow up to be whores, as he says.
When we do that, We cannot say that people are equal when one is not judged on the merits, but only by its sexuality. You don't see that as a weird conundrum when we don't know what that woman's doing. But you're saying if you're a male there, you must save this female. That makes no sense.
Brother Tommy, I'm gonna have to stop promoting because you're gonna get away with saying some slippery stuff while I'm over here trying to send a text. There could be no texting while listening to Brother Tommy Sotomayor because any damn thing can happen in a few moments.
Well, when you're spitting the real, it's all real.
It's all real. Let me tell you how real is. Let's talk about the plight of the black woman. Let's talk about the fact that a man can have several baby mamas and be revered as a player. Let's talk about the fact that a young man can have a bunch of girlfriends and everyone will say, you know, all the girls love him.
I agree with that. I disagree with the first point. You know that's not true. That guy's called a deadbeat. That guy's never called a player if he got a bunch of kids. If he got a bunch of women, yes. The dude with a bunch of kids is not called a player.
Well, let me specify.
They've been trying to make fun of me in your chat room now. Ain't nobody said I'm a player because of it. They've been making fun of me because of it.
The onus is more on the woman as far as being responsible is concerned for having multiple baby fathers than it is for the man who has multiple baby mamas.
The one.
Now, what he said there is a fact, and that goes back to what I just said. When they say who matures quicker, boys or girls, it depends on their grading scale. So there's a difference.
Woman with multiple baby fathers can still be considered a queen, a goddess, and a good mom. The man with multiple kids is always looked at as a bad dude. Always.
Only in a small community called the conscious community, my brother. The world in general will not say they're kings and queens. They will put them in the rankings of harlots, of whores.
They still are the ones that right now, the television does shows and everything about these mothers who have multiple kids and still make it through. That black woman who had 6 kids by the age of 34 by 3 different dudes got them white people to give her $30,000 in a few days. The other black woman who slapped her son up in the Boston riot, they continue to uplift these single black mothers. You know this for a fact. In the black community, she is not knocked down. It does not preclude her from getting dates. It does not preclude her from even getting good men.
It doesn't preclude either of them. A guy, because a woman with multiple kids is going to have a harder time dating than a guy with multiple kids, especially if majority of the time the man do not have custody of the kids. He can pick up, go out on a date, bring a woman back to the house. Why? The kids don't live with him. A woman with multiple kids living in her home is not going to have that same freedom.
He still can get your best and brightest even if she has kids by multiple people. And in most communities, that woman is looked down upon. She wouldn't have an opportunity to date anybody else. But in the black community, she actually does. You see it every day. Some dude that has a bunch of money marries some woman who already has kids from somewhere else.
It's funny that he said she still can get the best and brightest when I think Kevin Samuel, shout out to him, RP to him, proved that to be incorrect. No, she's not going to get the best and the brightest at all. No.
It doesn't happen in other communities.
By convention, my brother, and I'm exercising a great deal of constraint. By convention, and that don't mean nothing negative towards you. That is to hear everything you're saying so I could preference my statements properly. We have to understand this. No other community. I do not like those statements when I'm having conversations about the black community with Black people. I don't mind if you was a different race, but you speak as though you don't understand that you yourself are experiencing life in the diaspora. When we say things like no other community, it intimates that there is something wrong with us on a certain level that exempts, or removes responsibility from the likes of whom have thrusted us into this conversation in the very first place. When we say things like no other community, well, we have to keep in mind, Tommy, that we've been stripped of a thorough knowledge of self. We've been stripped of our resources, our native tongue, and even the land that we used to live on. We've been stripped of the right to speak in our own language. We've been denied the right to even read in the foreign language that we had to adopt. They put a constraint on what exactly we could read. And then we have to factor in the hundreds of years that this constraint was upon us. And in 1865, December 6th, when they purportedly made us free, which Abraham Lincoln admits himself that he only did it because it was profitable for the nation, not because he gave a damn about the Black people that were part of it. After Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 of being considered 3/5 of a person, and then the argument going on to say, hey, you know what? You guys are winning votes because you got more slaves. Hey, we can get more votes if we can start counting these people as people. After we've bartered for the right to be free, fighting in their war. Hundreds of years of this kind of chaos, this kind of degradation, dilapidation, destitution, and by that we mean, for y'all out there, extreme poverty. When we say things like, we are the only race, we say it as though we are totally oblivious to Black people's plight, having suffered an acculturation process, living in their diaspora here in America, the hells of America. We talk like we're totally oblivious to the things that have transpired that has brought us to this very moment. That's one. That's one. We got to get that out the way. We are not just acting the way we're acting.
Can I stop you for a second?
Real quick.
No, I just got to say something for everybody that's out there.
Go ahead.
Clemson just won.
Yeah.
Clemson just won a national championship. Go ahead.
What? Okay.
Clemson just beat them on the last second. On the last second.
So this is what I have to say. When we have to be careful when we say things like, we are the only race that is doing this, that, and the other, because no one after 400 years plus of oppression is going to come out and in 60, 70 years of freedom make a turnaround, especially considering the enemies of Black people may have gone through their own forms of oppression amongst each other, but they still all remain enemies of a Black people that make up only 14% of the population in America and only 9% of the population in Canada, and remotely closer percentages in UK, though they have many Africans of the continent who are over there. So this oppression cannot be rescinded overnight. And the reciprocal of this oppression may not necessarily take an equal 400 plus years, but 60 years certainly doesn't suffice to get some of the bad habits that have become transgenerational out of our system. So the promiscuity, their inability to organize, and the frustration from having a lack of resources doesn't merely it's not beholden to Black people exclusively, But this pain and the suffrage has to be shared amongst Black people and the white perpetrators of the same. I didn't say Black people should not be held accountable. Listen to me carefully out there, people. I'm saying that the blame has to be shared. It cannot be exclusive to us, nor can we own the majority of it. We are going to hold each other to a high standard when the conversation presents itself. If I was talking to you, Brother Tommy, I will hold you to a high standard and I respect you to be accountable for who and what you are as a Black man, which is why we're having this conversation right now. However, to the average brother and sister there, lacking a certain knowledge of self, understanding that we've never been given the right to be left alone to our own vices, because whenever we set up a model community consistent with Black residency, it gets bombed, it gets raided, it gets torn down. Eventually, you condition the people to be anti-revolutionary. Considering the vaccinations and the false diagnosis of ADHD that they give to all too many of our children, considering the fact that there are clinics in Black communities. And then when you go into white communities, they don't know what a clinic is. Considering they are paying people to sell their wombs who are lacking in resources, so it actually is an option.
Well, as you can see, he is a powerful speaker and he's saying a lot of truth, because I do not like when people point out a problem and don't say why the problem exists, because it's like they say about cough medicine, right? You don't get medicine to actually cure to fight the cough. You get it to stop whatever's causing the cough. And a lot of things that we see in communities that we call like degeneracy, things of that nature, many of these things are symptoms, and you can't just, in order to stop the symptoms, and once you realize they're symptoms, you have to stop what's causing the symptom. So single motherhood, the high abortion rate, the divorce rates, all these things are symptoms to a bigger problem that's going on. So you have to address the causes if you truly want to stop the symptoms of what's going on. I'm gonna play some more of this. This thing is like 3 hours long, so I know I'm not gonna get to play all of it.
Surrogate parenthood is actually an option to people that are lacking in resources and have to make ends meet. Our people are not merely making bad decisions because they choose to, my brother. They're making bad, or what appears to be bad decisions, because they're lacking the educational tools, the resources, and the system to be able to facilitate in ways where they can overcome such oppression of the mind and all the other forms of oppression that come in different tiers.
Well, let me ask you something, if I can. You said they're making bad decisions, and then you said what appears to be bad decisions. Are they bad decisions, or do they just appear that way?
I'll give you the answer. They appear to be bad decisions for the people that's not in the same position as the people making them. Most people, I would like to believe, who go to church, whether I agree with it or not, I would like to believe when people go to church, they go there with great intention. The institution may be corrupt, but the people going there may have been inspired to do the right thing and maybe get led astray. But those people in general have great intentions. Likewise.
You mean like
likewise, let me cap the point. Likewise, a black man putting another black man to the eye of a gun to steal from him. It appears to be a very bad decision to someone like myself who's living in Beverly Hills. But because I come from that space And I'm no stranger to those circumstances on both sides. I understand when you're lacking in education, no matter how much morality exists within your bones or in your blood, you now have to revert back to a more primitive state of mind in order to survive. And when people construct environments saturated in decadence, you're likely to find a higher probability of people making those kind of decisions that appear to be very bad decisions to people that are in a better position themselves. But to the people who have to live in that experience every single day, they are making the best decision most occasions that they can conceive of doing. Do I support the action? Of course not. But when sisters decide that they have to prostitute to get some kind of compensation to sustain their livelihood, but the information to do better isn't properly disseminated in the community, nor are there any supporting cast or groups that they can access in real time, chances are she will do what she feel it suffice to do to survive. Is this an excuse for them doing that which we perceive to be wrong? No, it's not an excuse. We encourage people to do better and think better. But when you are strapped for cash and you have absolutely nothing, you will revert back to a primitive instinct more times than less. The average human being, this is not something exclusive to Black people. This is something that belongs to humanity. Anytime a large group of people are lacking in resources and educational tools, the decision-making will contrast immensely to those who are living better than those that they are judging. It is a fact. Hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, but I want to say something to you. As respectful as I can be, I'm listening, but a lot of the times when I will bring up a point, you will talk a long time and drown out the point or the question that is being asked. So unless I either write it down or have a scorekeeper or a person who says the point that was being asked, because you have dominated this, you've dominated the time of possession in this game.
You need to watch the replay.
I got to throw a bomb because you dominating the ball on the ground. So
you can watch the replay of how many times I got cut off. I said I will hold constraint for myself, and I mentioned no disrespect. I said I'll just assess everything you say. So you got back, you just do. Go ahead.
So here, I understand that you say there's a reason for a lot of things that are happening, and I never say that there's not a reason. I understand. But see, I view myself as the ER doctor. And when the ER doctor comes in, when somebody busts through the door, doctor, we got a gunshot victim. We got a gunshot victim, and the gunshot victim is bleeding. Where's it bleeding from? Right here. We cannot stop the bleeding. So what we do is the first thing we must do is stop the bleeding, or the patient dies. Now, we cannot assess what made them go into gang banging or what made them get in the position that they got shot. They could have got shot because they slapped their wife. They could have got shot because they got caught cheating. They could have got shot because they were trying to go anything. All I know is I got to stop them from bleeding. So I leave that to you. After I've stopped them from bleeding, when they go in there and they get on through recovery, I'll leave that to you to tell them to stay off the cocaine so they don't have to go try to rob it and get shot. I'll leave that to you to tell them to make sure that they have the safety on the gun next time when they get ready to put it in their holster and they don't shoot themselves. I'll leave that to you once I've saved the patient. So I'll leave that to all of you people who want to go back to Kemet, who want to go back to the 20s, who want to go back to the 30s, who want to go back to all these times, because I'm not saying they're not important. I'm just dealing from the ER.
I love the analogy. It sounds like it makes sense. Just like it appears people are doing the wrong thing. It's all perspective. It's all perspective. And that you are entitled to. What we have to be careful of, my brother, when we say things like Black women are irresponsible. Fine. If we're going to make that generalization, we have to now ask, were we cultured into a state of irresponsibility as a race, more especially in the case of the Black woman?
That's the difference between our approaches. Remember, if we're going to say that this is a state, which is you've been shot, you're irresponsible, I have to get you to notice you've been irresponsible, that you've been shot. Because if you keep walking around and not noticing that you've been shot, you're just going to bleed out. The Black community has too many people bleeding out because they have no idea they've even been injured. So I have to get the alcoholic to recognize that alcoholism is a problem before they'll even know why they drink. So I feel you. And I think the difference is people are not understanding. I understand where you're coming from. You just don't understand that I'm telling you, I cannot get this patient to enter an AA meeting if they don't think drinking is wrong. I got to get them to acknowledge there's a problem.
My brother, the average person, and I have to speak from personal experience, and maybe you people in the chat can also concur. The average person smoking cigarettes will call it a cancer stick. The average person who drinks will say, I know I got to lighten up on drinking, or I know it's not good. So I don't think the question is if it's bad and whether they realize it, that it's not good for them. The thing is that they're trying to compensate, and in some instances overcompensate, for anxieties that correspond with the affliction. You see,
but acceptance allows people to continue doing this, meaning
no, addiction, not acceptance, addiction.
No, I agree. What I'm saying is when you have a community that says it's okay, it's harder for that person to get help. That's why they can openly say, yeah, I know I got a problem drinking lean, but drinking lean is also cool.
What community is suggesting this?
Our community, the quote unquote Black community right now will give a brother more credit for going to jail for 4 years than going to college for 4 years. I've seen more parties thrown for a Negro getting out of jail than a Negro getting out of college. These are facts. I've seen way too many Black women getting thrown baby showers when they don't even know who the baby's father is. If you're giving them good things for bad behaviors, there's no reason for them to stop. I know Black women who've called in my show that say they get ridiculed because they hit 30 and don't have children. Not having children, not ridiculed for not having a husband. Nobody's ridiculed in the Black community for not having a husband. This is a fact. If you make right now, why do you think they go out of their way to call me gay? Because it's a ridicule. Why do you think they go out of their way to call me crispy? Because it's a ridicule. And in response to that, why do you think so many Black people, dark-skinned people, are getting light skin lightening cream? If you ridicule enough people in a community, they will try not to be that thing. We all know this.
I have a question. This community?
Uh-oh, you froze.
Hold on.
There you go.
I have a question. Are you a part of the conscious community?
I don't even like that word. If we talking, I'm assuming we're conscious.
Are you a part of the conscious community?
Nope.
Are you a part of the pro-Black community?
Nope.
So I'm just interested in this thing that you're part of the thing you're calling our community. When I said, what community is condoning?
I said the Black.
Hold on. I said, what community is condoning the drinking of lean? You said our community.
I said the Black one.
I got you. Now you're not part of the pro-Black community, and you're not part of the conscious community, but you're part of the our community.
I stopped saying that. I just told you what Black. I said Black. You can't keep doing it. If you said some numbers, 14.
Let me get it straight. You're not part of the pro-Black community, but you're part of the Black community.
Right.
Okay. I think we all see where that goes wrong. But
you
I don't mind.
You can be on Alabama's campus and not be for Alabama. I live in Phoenix and I'm not for the Phoenix team.
I don't mind. Let me just finish my point. My point. Apparently, you are part of the community that suggests that it's okay to drink lean, a combination of drugs infused with alcohol. I'm here to tell you, just as you are not part of the conscious community and pro-black community, I am not part of the black community that
condones that.
Those things.
Right. That's what. But what I'm saying though. But are you trying to deny that there's not a segment of our population who thinks this is okay to the point of where we started to put it in songs? Come on, dog. Let's not play with that. They ain't made no songs where the rappers is coming out talking about sucking no other rapper's dick. Once that starts to become a song, then you'll know that's norm.
You're missing the point, and I understand why. Because you're slipping up. I'm not one of those other guys you be debating, Tommy. This is a different scenario. You in the fucking cage right now. So
you already lost.
You gotta be careful.
You're trying to pick up the pieces. You already got knocked down, Ronda Rousey. You just trying to pick up the pieces. I know.
Well, speaking of cages, now I've played that as much as I can stand. I'm not here to necessarily critique the debate. The title of this show is Beware the Messenger. This one is about Brother Polight. Both of these brothers could fall up under this. Could be both of them could fall under this umbrella. You know, Brother Tommy Sotomayor, he talks about all these things with the community, but he himself is a man with 2 children out of wedlock, successful guy, and even up until this day is not married. But we're talking about Brother Polight at this point in time. I played that just so people can get an idea of how well he speaks. He's very knowledgeable. Knows a lot of history, knows a lot of big words, says that the black woman is God, how much respect he has for the black woman. And let me go ahead and pull this up, share this tab instead. Now, he had a good run in the conscious community. Spreading his message. He had a lot of debates with a lot of people. He's won a lot of battles. My bad. I think I might have to zoom in. Hold on. I'm gonna mute this till this ad goes by. Let the ad go by. Let the ad go by. Oh, why did I click that?
For his online posts,
all right, here we
but
go.
now, well, he normally garners attention for his online posts, but now the social media influencer and motivational speaker is making headlines for the wrong reason. NBC6 reporter Kim Nguyen is live in Miami Beach tonight with more on the arrest of the man known as Brother Polight. Kim.
Yeah, well, Jawan, the suspect surrendered here at the Miami Beach Police Department earlier this week. Police charged him with sexual battery of a 14-year-old girl. We did speak with his lawyer earlier tonight, who says that these charges are false.
This is the mugshot of 37-year-old Michael Nowak Jr., also known as Brother Polight, to his more than 300,000 Instagram followers. Miami Beach police arrested Nowak this week for alleged sexual battery of a 14-year-old girl in a hotel room in February. Police say the alleged victim was the daughter of a woman he was romantically linked to. Defense attorney David Terrace says his client is innocent.
Once the evidence is produced, that he is going to be exonerated. So yeah, not guilty, nothing else.
According to the police report, Nowak, a motivational speaker and author who lives in LA, asked the woman if he could take her daughter to an after party at a club in Miami. The report states Nowak took the teen to his hotel after seeing that the club was closed. Police say the suspect gave the teen alcohol and started dancing and touching the teen inappropriately, groping her breast, inner thighs, and buttocks. It goes on to say Nowak tried to force the teen to perform oral sex on him. The teen allegedly passed out and woke up to Nowak trying to make her throw up.
These are serious allegations, but in any situation, there is always motive. There is always a lot behind the scenes that the public is not going to be able to see.
The report states that the girl's mother found her intoxicated and possibly on drugs, with severe swelling on her mouth and lips. It later states Nowak told the mother not to call police because it would ruin his career. Nowak was served with a DNA warrant in June and surrendered to police on Monday. Terrace says the police report is only an allegation. And Nowak claims to have written more than 90 books. In an interview, he also claims to have several wives. For now, we're reporting live in Miami Beach. Kim Nguyen, NBC6 News.
Okay. All right, this article is the alleged victim is the daughter of a woman Michael Nowak, age 37, was romantically linked to, according to police. Here it says Michael Nowak Jr., also known as Brother Polight, surrendered to police Monday. I'm going to have to zoom in more. Let me see. Hopefully y'all can see that as well. Michael Nowak Jr., also known as Brother Polight, surrendered to police Monday for the alleged sexual battery of a 14-year-old girl in the hotel room in February. The alleged victim is the daughter of a woman Nowak, age 37, was romantically linked to, according to police. Defense attorney David Terraz says his client is innocent. They always say that. Once the evidence is produced, he's going to be exonerated, Terraz says. So yeah, not guilty, nothing else. According to the police report, Nowak, who is a motivational speaker and author, lives in Los Angeles, asked the woman if he could take her daughter to an after party at a club in Miami. The report states Nowak took the teen to his hotel after seeing that the club was closed. The report says the suspect gave the teen alcohol and started dancing and touching the teen inappropriately, groping her breasts, inner thighs, and buttocks. It goes on to say Nowak tried to force the teen to perform oral sex on him. The teen allegedly passed out and woke up to Nowak trying to make her throw up, the report said. These are serious allegations, but in any situation, there is always motive, Terraz says. There is always a lot behind the scenes that the public is not going to be able to see. The report states that the girl's mother found her intoxicated and possibly on drugs with severe swelling on her mouth and lips. It later states Nowak told the mother not to call the police because it would ruin his career. Nowak was served with a DNA warrant in June and surrendered to police on Monday. Terraz says the police report is only an allegation. We have no doubt that he is not this person, the attorney said. We're going to get him past this and back on with his life. So that's it. Now I have done my research because the rumors is that he got 7 years. He says that he was exonerated. What's funny is that when you go to his page, no. When you go to his page and I look at his live videos, the last time it streamed was 5 years ago. When you go to his videos, The last thing he posted was a year ago. So it appears that he is, in fact, now locked up, even though, let's see, where is it at? I wanted to play this video because 1 year ago he was saying that he was exonerated, but actually he took a plea deal. But he put this video out
of the sexual charges. Blessings in abundance. The mother and the daughter and the prosecution dropped every single sexual charge. I'm saying it again. The mother, the daughter, my accusers, in addition to the state, the prosecution, all agreed they need to drop all of the sexual charges. So yeah, it's a victory, but it's bittersweet. It's a victory because I was facing life. No parole, no probation. Now you may say, how could this be possible if a minor was so-called molested and it was DNA evidence? And people say DNA don't lie. And I always said, people do. Well, let's do this. The serologist, the expert, that so-called found.
Well, I think the only liar is him. And it goes back to the point of me making this video. Beware the messenger. Beware of who you're listening to, who you're getting your information from. Yeah, these people are going to tell a lot of truths, and they're going to mix it up with their message to get close to people. Meanwhile, they're secretly destroying the community. So that's going to conclude this video. I definitely want to give my conclusion, which is me reiterating my intro, which is the phrase, "Don't shoot the messenger," is often used to encourage people to separate the content of a message from the person delivering it. While this concept can be fair in some cases, it becomes problematic when those in positions of influence or leadership use it to avoid accountability or scrutiny. When someone is speaking on behalf of a community, especially about matters involving justice, compensation, or financial redress, it's not enough to only consider the message. We must also evaluate the character and intentions of the messenger. This is especially true when the person has a direct influence on public perception or policy discussions. It's dangerous to blindly accept the words of individuals in power simply because they frame themselves as just the messenger, particularly if their history or behavior raises legitimate concerns about trust and credibility. I want to thank you all for attending this show. Remember to thumbs up the video. I appreciate you all. I'm climbing close to 100,000 subscribers. I'm still learning here on YouTube. Trying to keep my message true to who I am. Try not to do too much clickbait. Try not to do no fake stuff. Just genuinely coming on here talking about things that I care about. And this is something I care about, which is pointing out risky behavior. Beware the messenger. Beware of who you get your information from. Beware of who you follow. Be your own person. Don't get caught up in people and their beautiful words they use, their big words they use, their intelligence, their facts that they have from history and things they're able to recount and stuff, and fall into the trap. Beware, always keep your guard up. And this was the perfect example. Brother Polight preached all the time that the black woman is God. Meanwhile, now his career is over. Excuse me, I'm sorry, because he didn't believe that. Once again, this is Risky Behavior. I'm your host, Mr. Diabolical. I will catch you later.
Risky behavior.